Om Shri Ganesha Gurubhyo Namaha. Once a Zen master felt that his disciple, who had been with him for a very long time, was now prepared to leave him and go out into the world and propagate the message or the learnings that he had. As a disciple was about to leave, it turned very cloudy, it was very dark, and it was raining. He requested his master to give him an umbrella and a candle so that it would help him to light up the path. The master handed him the umbrella and gave him a lit candle. As the disciple was about to turn, the master blew out the candle. He smiled at the disciple and gently shut the door. For a second, the disciple could not comprehend the action of the master. But very soon he realized that the message was the guru or the master will guide you up to a certain level. Further on, you have to find your own path, you have to make your own mark. A similar guru, a similar saint poet in the 17th century was Samartha Swami Ramdas. Ramdas Swami was known as Narayan Thosar in his childhood. He lost his father Suryoji Pant when he was just 7 years old, and that made him very sad and he was always in solitude. His mother Ranubai realized that to bring him out of this solitude, he needed to get married. So, along with a few relatives, she arranged a marriage for him. And when the bride to be was opposite him and both of them were separated by a wheel, a cloth, that's the ritual in the Maharashtrian marriage custom. The priest was chanting the shlokas, reciting the mantras, and each time the mantra would end with the word Savadhan, Shubha Mangala Savadhan. The word Savadhan means be careful. It's a caution. As the priest would keep saying Savadhan every time, Ramdas Swami realized that this possibly was a message from the Lord. He was a great devotee of Lord Rama right from childhood thanks to his parents who had inculcated that upasana into him. He thought Lord Rama is giving him the message of caution that run away before you get entangled in the snare of material life, marriage life. Taking this opportunity, he just fled from the marriage place to such a great distance from the place that his people couldn't find him. He reached Panchavati, Nasik, and stayed there with the help of the local people. He managed to create a small place for himself and he changed his name and he called himself Ramdas, the servant of Lord Rama. For 12 years, he was into devotion of Lord Rama. He would only read about Lord Rama. He would only listen to bhajans about Lord Rama. He would compose abhangs on Lord Rama. And as a result of which, he was so engrossed into his devotion to Lord Rama that he got a vision of Lord Rama and he had become a completely enlightened soul. Lord Rama had given him a vision and a mantra. The mantra was the jap or the chanting of Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ramdas Swami did this jap or chant 13 crore times. And he really proved to be a servant of Lord Rama. He was also a great devotee of Hanumanta. It is said that while he was composing and singing the abhang in praise of Lord Rama, he found that there was a small monkey which was sitting opposite on a tree and watching him with tears brimming in its eyes. The monkey then came down to him. He bowed to the monkey and asked him whether he was Lord Hanuman, to which the monkey nodded his head, blessed him, and so in praise of the virtues of Hanumanta is the Maruti Stotra, Bhima Rupi Maharudra. In this Maruti Stotra, he talks about, there are 15 verses in this, he talks about the virtues of Lord Hanuman, the physical abilities, unimaginable capabilities of Lord Hanuman in this particular composition. As he traveled all over Maharashtra, he used to have a bhiksha. Bhiksha is where he accepts only food by begging. He realized that the people of Maharashtra were oppressed to a very great extent. First of all, they were taxed heavily by the Mughals. The women were not safe, and there was a total unrest, and people were actually having a very diffident way of living. There was no way in which their confidence or their morale would be boosted. So he thought about bringing a change into an individual's life was possible, and from there gradually you go to bring a change in society. What he also believed is very important in today's time, that if you want to change things, if you want to bring a transition, it cannot be done suddenly. Any sudden change or any sudden transformation only creates chaos and commotion. Realizing this, he believed that evolution was the actual correct step to bring a societal change. Revolution is not the answer. So he started setting up mutts or organizations at different places, ranging from the north in Banaras to south in Tanjore. He had about 1100 disciples, of whom 300 were women. And it is said that he considered women to be an equal part of society formation. In fact, there were some people from the old school of thinking who felt that women should not be given so much of importance. He reprimanded them, and he also made sure that women were given equal status in society in all his mutts also. It is said that he is given the title Samarth. There is an incident to this, that he is called Samarthas Ramdas Swami. Samartha means the all-knowing. There was an incident where when he was younger and he was traveling, there were a group of Brahmins who were standing there and watching him. They thought that if this fellow is a sadhu, then why is he having a bow and arrow on his shoulder? Because sadhus are supposed to have no weapons on them. At that time, one of those Brahmins approached him and said, you think you're a sadhu, but you have a bow and arrow with you. Why is it so? So he says, for protection. So he says, do you believe in karma? The Brahmin asked him, do you believe in karma? He says, I do believe. Okay, now I'll give you a small task. Will you be able to shoot that? There were some birds flying in the air. Will you be able to shoot one of the birds with your bow and arrow? Ramdas Swami said, yes, I can. He shot one bird and the bird fell down dead. One of the Brahmins said, now you have killed this bird. So now you have got bad karma on you. So you'll have to do some repentance for it. So Ramdas Swami said, yes, I'm ready to undergo whatever repentance test I have to take up. So he said, you have to perform a small ritual now. He said, fine, I'll do it. Ramdas Swami followed the instructions of the Brahmins, did the ritual. After the ritual was over, he said, now am I free from my bad karma? The Brahmin said, yes. Then he said, then why isn't the bird coming back to life? So they said, one which is dead will never come back to life. He said, then why did you make me do this ritual? For repentance. The Brahmins were dumbfounded. They had no answer to give. Ramdas Swami gently picked up the dead bird in his hand, moved his hand over the body of the bird 3 times, and the bird was revived back to life. The Brahmins were stunned to see this transformation, and they realized that he was no ordinary sadhu. He was Samartha, and so the title Samarthas Ramdas Swami was supposed to be given to him, the all-knowing. Ramdas Swami's 2 literary compositions, the Dasbodh and the Manache Shlok, are very important. In fact, in every Marathi household, these books are available and they are read on a daily basis. Many children know the Manache Shlok by rote. Manache Shlok, as it terms, is supposed to be the important mantra for controlling your mind. In what way? You can control something only if you have a dialogue with it. So the Manache Shlok actually is a dialogue an individual must have with his own mind. The mind will never mislead you. It's your conscience. It will never mislead you. But yes, if you allow the mind to be completely overpowered by negative things, by bad things, obviously you're going to go in that way. And vice versa, if you are going to be having good things fed to your mind, you're going to give an output which is good only. So Manache Shlok are supposed to be guidelines for each individual, and children especially, because right from a very young age children are taught how they must have a contemplative spirit in them. So Manache Shlok is a very important composition that Ramdas Swami has given us. The next I said about is Das Bodh. Das Bodh is a dialogue, or it's an advice given to the disciple Kalyan Swami by Ramdas Swami. The Das Bodh has got many chapters which are called Dashaks. The chapters deal with personality development, management skills, conversational skills. It also deals with bhakti and jnana yoga. It also gives you very important, significant factors of how an individual can identify or can find out the difference between a fool and a wise man, between a true master and a fake master, between a foolish disciple and a clever disciple. These very small, very minute things are mentioned in the Das Bodh. The Das Bodh is a book on management skill on its own, and it is referred not only by the management gurus of Indian universities but even by foreign universities. In fact, many of them take points and tips from these books and they make it up as their own motivation speech, which is a very good thing because they're propagating the message of Samartha Ramdas Swami. Das Bodh and Manache Shlok are of course very important literary compositions for people to read. And besides that, one very important factor is the inspirational motive or inspirational force that he was behind one of the greatest rulers of Maharashtra, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had heard about Ramdas Swami and he wanted to meet him, but somehow Ramdas Swami was evading it. There is a reason for this also. He also spoke to his contemporary Santa Tukaram that he wanted to become a disciple of his, but Santa Tukaram advised Chhatrapati Maharaj that the time had come for him to be a disciple to some other teacher, and that teacher was none other than Ramdas Swami. In the true sense, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's guru was his mother Jizau, but a mentor and a guide was none other than Ramdas Swami. After many days of trying to meet Samartha Ramdas, with failed attempts, one day Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj went to the Bhavani Mata temple, and as he was sitting in meditative trance, he got a vision of Samartha Ramdas Swami appearing in front of him and offering him a coconut. When he opened his eyes, he realized there was no one there, but the coconut was there. After a few days, Samartha Ramdas Swami himself came to meet Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and he gives him blessing, and he also gives him three important things. One thing he gives him is mud. Second, he gives him pebbles or small stones. And third, he gives him the horse dung. The significance of each of them is earth, the mud, is supposed to be love for your motherland. That is why no one can talk of a greater patriot than Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. The small stones are supposed to be symbolic of conquering and building many forts on hills. So you have the Raigad, you have the Pratapgarh, all these things were possible only with the grace of Samartha Ramdas Swami. The horse dung was supposed to be to have a battalion of soldiers, and of course in those days they had to be mounted on horses only, so that shows the richness of the king. That means let this country be prosperous, let it be rich, let it have a lot of forts on hillsides is what the message was. Samartha Ramdas Swami gave it to Shivaji Maharaj. A few days later, as Shivaji Maharaj was standing in his palatial balcony, he saw Ramdas Swami moving on the road with his begging bowl because he was into Bhiksha Yatra. He asked the one who was serving him, he asked him, why is Swami moving like this? When I am there, his disciple, who is the king of this particular empire, when I am there, why does he have to go begging? The person who was serving him quickly came out on the road and spoke to Ramdas Swami and said that the king is asking you, why are you moving on the roads like this when he, the king, is there as your disciple? Ramdas Swami told the person, the messenger, to call Maharaj down. When Shivaji Maharaj came down, he prostrated in front of Ramdas Swami and he asked him, Sir Swami, why are you moving around with a begging bowl when I, your disciple, am the king of this entire kingdom? You ask me what you want, I shall give it to you. So Ramdas Swami smiled at him and said, really, will you give me what I want? Maharaj says, yes. Swami says, then give me your entire kingdom. Put the entire kingdom in my name. Maharaj says, it is yours only. The entire kingdom is yours. He says, very good. Now you have nothing with you. You also join me like a beggar with a bowl in your hand. So Ramdas Swami and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj both move with the begging bowl all over the streets of the kingdom. Finally, they come to Ramdas Swami's hut, and there Shivaji Maharaj smiles at him and says, I have done as you told me. Tell me what exactly is the message you want to give me. Ramdas Swami tears a cloth from his own attire. He used to wear ochre color, or as you call it, the saffron cloth. He tears a piece of it, hands it over to Shivaji Maharaj and says, I want to see this entire empire with this color. And he says, your loyalty should be to your kingdom because the kingdom is no longer yours, it is mine. So just like a disciple will always listen to his guru, will always obey his guru and do only those things which are for the welfare of people, that is what I ask you to do, that this kingdom is not yours anymore, this kingdom is mine, and you have to serve the kingdom just like a disciple serves his guru. That is why you find even today the name of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as one of the most able rulers of the Maratha kingdom is, to date, it is supposed to be extolled. Ramdas Swami's message of peace, love, and one very important thing that he said was, peace and love are all good in their own places when you talk of bhakti and jnana. But he says when it comes to karma yoga, one has to be very careful. He differs a little from the Varkaris in this sense. The Varkaris have their lord as Vitthal. And if one sees, Vitthal has no arms. He just puts his arms around his waist, but he has no weapons on his body. He has no arms and ammunitions on his body. So he is supposed to be a pacified guru for the Varkaris. But if you see, Ramdas Swami's message was that remaining pacified is sometimes misunderstood as your weakness. So wherever you have to show your strength, you have to. And for that, you have to be united, you have to be organizational. So that's why he calls it a Sanghatit Yojana. That is, it has to be completely united. When everyone's united, then you can create an impact. So he talks about Lord Rama and Hanumanta. He says, look at these two deities. One has a bow and arrow, the other has a club or a mace. Both are weapons. That does not mean that they believe in violence. What they are trying to tell you is, do not suffer because of your weakness or because of you being singled out. Unify together, and togetherness is the only strength we have. So there is an incident which is mentioned here, that when he goes to Pandharpur, he comes out of the temple after taking a darshan and he says, my Rama is here also. So he never saw Vitthal as Vitthal, he saw Vitthal as Rama. such a great devotee of Rama was he. The last few years he spent at Sajjangarh, which is at Satara, and even today people go and pay their respects at his samadhi there. We also offer our humble pranams at the holy feet of this great master, Samartha Ramdas Swami. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.